Welcome. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of cost structures and economics. Understanding how costs behave is crucial for businesses and anyone interested in how companies make decisions. We'll explore the different types of costs: fixed, variable, total, average, and marginal, and see how they interact on cost curves. By the end, you'll have a clear picture of what these terms mean and why they matter for both small startups and large corporations. Let's start by laying out the basics before we move into each cost type in detail. Fixed costs are expenses that do not change with the level of production. Think of things like rent, salaries for permanent staff, or insurance. Whether a company produces 1 unit or 1,000, these costs remain constant in the short run. This predictability helps businesses plan their budgets and operations. Fixed costs are a foundational concept because they set a baseline for total expenses regardless of output. Next, let's see how variable costs differ from fixed costs. Variable costs, on the other hand, change directly with the level of production. If a company makes more products, it needs more raw materials, more energy, and possibly more hourly labor. These costs rise as output increases and fall as output decreases. For example, if you run a bakery, flour and sugar are variable costs because you buy more as you bake more cakes. Understanding variable costs helps businesses forecast how expenses will grow with production. Total cost is simply the sum of fixed and variable costs at any level of production. It gives a complete picture of what it takes to run a business. For example, if your fixed costs are $1,000 and your variable costs for producing 100 units are $500, your total cost is $1,500. This number is essential for pricing decisions and profit calculations. Next, we'll see how average cost is calculated from total cost. Average cost, also known as unit cost, is the total cost divided by the number of units produced. It tells you how much on average it costs to make each item. For example, if your total cost is $1,500 for 100 units, your average cost is $15 per unit. This helps businesses set prices and measure efficiency. As production increases, average cost often decreases due to spreading fixed costs over more units. Marginal cost is the additional cost of producing one more unit. It's a key concept for decision making. If making one more product costs less than the price you can sell it for, it's profitable to increase production. Marginal cost helps businesses decide when to expand or stop production. It's calculated by looking at the change in total cost when output increases by 1 unit. Cost curves are graphs that show how different costs behave as output changes. Fixed cost curves are flat, variable and total cost curves slope upward, and marginal and average cost curves have their own unique shapes. Visualizing these curves helps managers and students understand the relationships between different types of costs and output levels. Let's look at each curve in more detail. Fixed cost curve is a horizontal line on a graph because fixed costs do not change with output. No matter how much is produced, the fixed cost remains the same. This is a simple but important visual that reminds us of the stability of fixed costs in the short run. It's the foundation for understanding more complex cost behaviors. Variable cost curve starts at zero and rises as output increases. The shape of this curve depends on how efficiently resources are used. At first, costs may rise slowly, but as production grows, they often rise faster due to inefficiencies. This curve helps businesses anticipate how costs will change as they scale up production. Total cost curve combines fixed and variable costs. It starts at the level of fixed costs and rises as variable costs are added with increased production. This curve is crucial for understanding the overall cost structure and for making pricing and output decisions. It visually demonstrates how total expenses grow as a business produces more. The average cost curve typically has a U-shape. At first, average costs fall as fixed costs are spread over more units. Eventually, they rise again if variable costs increase sharply. This curve helps businesses find the most efficient level of production where average cost is lowest. It's a vital tool for maximizing profit. Marginal cost curve often dips at first, then rises as production increases. This reflects increasing efficiency at low output and rising costs as resources become stretched. The point where marginal cost equals average cost is especially important for decision making. It helps businesses know when to expand or hold back production. In the short run, some costs are fixed, but in the long run, all costs can become variable. This distinction is important for planning. Businesses can adjust their operations more flexibly over time, changing their cost structure as they grow or adapt to new markets. Understanding this helps with strategic decisions. Economies of scale occur when increasing production lowers average cost. This happens because fixed costs are spread over more units and sometimes because of operational efficiencies. Large companies often benefit from economies of scale, which gives them a competitive edge. Recognizing this helps businesses plan for growth. These economies of scale happen when increasing production raises average cost. This can result from management challenges, resource limitations, or inefficiencies. It's the flip side of economies of scale and a warning sign for businesses expanding too quickly. Monitoring average and marginal costs helps avoid this pitfall. Cost curves are not just academic, they're practical tools for business decisions. Managers use them to decide how much to produce, what price to charge, and when to invest in new equipment. By analyzing cost curves, companies can maximize profit and minimize waste. Let's see how this works in practice. Break-even analysis uses cost curves to find the point where total revenue equals total cost. This is where a business covers all its expenses but doesn't yet make a profit. Knowing the break-even point helps businesses set sales targets and pricing strategies. It's a key step in financial planning. Understanding cost curves helps businesses set prices that cover costs and generate profit. By knowing their average and marginal costs, companies can avoid pricing too low or too high. This ensures long-term sustainability and competitiveness in the market. Let's look at a real-world example. Imagine a car manufacturer. Their fixed costs include factory rent and machinery, while variable costs include steel and labor. By analyzing cost curves, they can decide how many cars to produce to minimize average cost and maximize profit. This approach applies to many industries. Technology can change cost structures dramatically. Automation may reduce variable costs and shift the average cost curve downward. Businesses that invest in technology often see improved efficiency and lower costs, which can be visualized on their cost curves. In competitive markets, understanding cost curves is vital. Companies with lower average and marginal costs can offer better prices and win more customers. This is why cost management is a strategic priority for successful businesses. Profit maximization occurs where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. This is the sweet spot for production. Producing beyond this point increases costs more than revenue, reducing profit. Cost curves guide businesses to this optimal output level. New businesses use cost curves to plan market entry. By estimating fixed and variable costs, they can predict how much they need to sell to survive and grow. This analysis helps entrepreneurs avoid costly mistakes and set realistic goals. If a business can't cover its variable costs, it may need to shut down in the short run. Cost curves help managers make tough decisions about continuing or pausing production. This protects the business from deeper losses. When considering expansion, businesses analyze how cost curves will shift. Will fixed costs rise with a new factory? Will variable costs fall with bulk purchasing? These questions are answered by studying cost curves, ensuring smart growth. Companies with multiple products use cost curves to decide which items to produce more or less of. By comparing marginal costs and revenues for each product, they can optimize their product mix and boost overall profitability. Outsourcing decisions often hinge on cost curves. If outsourcing lowers variable or fixed costs, it can shift cost curves downward, improving efficiency. Businesses analyze these changes to decide whether to keep production in-house or contract it out. Sustainability initiatives can affect cost structures. Investing in eco-friendly technology may raise fixed costs but lower variable costs over time. Cost curves help businesses evaluate the long-term benefits of going green. Managing risk means understanding how costs behave under different scenarios. Cost curves help businesses prepare for changes in demand, supply chain disruptions, or price fluctuations. This proactive approach protects profits and stability. We've covered the essentials of cost structures: fixed, variable, total, average, and marginal costs. We explored how these costs are visualized on cost curves and why they're crucial for business decisions. Whether you're managing a small business or studying economics, understanding cost curves gives you a powerful tool for planning, pricing, and growth. Thanks for joining this journey through the world of cost structure.